charge here? Or I can be just questions or.
Alrighty, hello everybody. Oh, I need to unmute. Oh, there we go. All right. There we go. Can you hear me okay, everybody that's called in?
Yep.
All right. Well, this is Nick Clements, even though my name on Zoom says Craig Wright. I am the project manager for the RAN RM program. And today I'm happily joining y'all from the ATS office here in Centennial, because ATS and the Colorado Energy Office were reached out and wanted to offer this presentation to Colorado-based nonprofits, applicants to the Renew America's Nonprofits Rocky Mountain Region program about energy performance contracting. So we have two representatives of the Colorado Energy Office here with us in person, and Craig Wright here from ATS. And we are recording this, so we can share these slides on our website. We will, we're working on getting a YouTube channel set up for our program, so that all of these kind of educational sessions that we've been doing this spring can be posted. So this will be another one. So we are recording. And yeah, so thank you for being here. Feel free. I will keep an eye on the chat as we go and make sure if any questions come in while the presentation is going, that we can address them. And we'll be happy to kind of hang out after the presentation to address additional questions, anything else that comes up. So yeah, from there, I will hand it over to the team here to talk to us about energy performance contracting. I'm just going to move that over, and there we go. Go over.
Hello. My name is Oren Chakravarti, and I will be giving the presentation here as a representative of the Colorado Energy Office on our energy performance contracting program. So let's start out with our team. Myself and Charlie Stevens are the program engineers. I come with an electrical engineering background. Charlie's got chemical engineering and a couple decades of buildings and energy efficiency to tag onto it. And Delynn Southern has moved to a different department, but she's still at the energy office, and she's got 4 to 5 years of experience in EPC, so we keep her around. This is a quick overview of the Colorado Energy Office. If you find yourself needing to tap into some of the other resources that are available, there's a weatherization assistance program. You'll have transportation and transportation technologies. So if you're looking at EV chargers or alternative fuels, that's a good place to go. The building decarbonization department is about the building performance standards and some of the benchmarking. You've got policy and regulatory affairs, and then you have strategic initiatives and finance, which we like to call sci-fi in-house. And under this, you'll find some industrial, commercial, undersea paste, geothermal, sustainable cannabis, building electrification, and energy performance contracting resides there also. So we're happy to share these slides with anybody who's interested. It has all the contact information for these departments. So let's get to the program. Energy performance contracting, what is it? It's ultimately a financing tool. It's a mechanism to help you fund future savings by using the utility savings that you achieve to actually pay for the project itself. And I won't read all these numbers to you, but here are some quick numbers on how long the program's been around, some of the energy savings and investments in the community that have been achieved. So let's talk about some of the key requirements of this program. These are established in the statute, and one of them, the first one we'll talk about, is guaranteed utility cost savings. So it's pretty rare to have a construction project or a building improvement project where you're guaranteed that you're going to save money. and that is established in the statute and a key requirement here. The project must be cash flow positive. So you're not gonna dip into debt doing this from a yearly cash flow perspective. There are 3 years of M&V, which stands for measurement and verification. So after a project is completed, for the 3 following years, there will be an assessment of the facility improvements that have been made to ensure that you are meeting that guaranteed utility cost saving, and that all of your equipment is operating as designed. And finally, there is a cost-weighted average life of equipment that is greater than the project term. This essentially means that you're not going to be financing something and paying for it longer than its useful life. So here we have a quick sort of bar graph image that shows how the program works. If we start out on the left side where it says before EPC, this is your existing operating expense, your current annual budget. And the little box at the top there identifies some unidentified saving potential. So then you'll have one of our energy service companies come in and identify some savings. They'll perform an audit. They'll go through your existing utility bills and take a look at, you know, your facilities, walk down, you know, panel boards, HVAC, all of your building automation systems, those kinds of things, and say, hey, we can tweak this, we can replace that, and we can save you this much money. So then after construction takes place and you've done your facility improvement measures, you will use those savings to actually pay for the project over the finance term. And once you're past that finance term, you've got money going in your piggy bank and a more efficient annual operating budget. So let's break that down a little bit more. So this is the 5-step process for how to take part in an energy performance contract. The first step is an MOU with the Colorado Energy Office. An MOU is a memorandum of understanding. This is a non-binding contract. It really just establishes that Charlie and I can put our time and effort into working with you as a client. So once we do that, you'll have to go to the solicitation phase. The solicitation phase is where you establish which ESCO you're going to work with. And ESCO is this energy service company. ATS is one of our ESCOs in the program. We have 15 total. They have been pre-vetted. They've gone through an application process, and yeah, we can share that information with you. But in this RFP stage, you'll basically establish which one of these engineering firms you'd like to work with. And you'll see at the bottom there that there is a sole source option. Colorado is a home rule state, so it's based on your jurisdiction. The energy performance contract works with MUSH markets, so municipalities, universities, school districts, hospitals, and nonprofits. So if your jurisdiction allows sole sourcing, you're more than welcome to do that and work with one of the pre-vetted firms that you'd like to. So once you've established which engineering firm you'd like to work with, then you'll go to the detailed assessment. So this is the IGA phase, which stands for the investment grade audit. And the investment grade audit is basically an ASHRAE level 2 audit with, I'll say level 2 plus. So this is where this engineering firm is going to come in. They're going to holistically evaluate the facilities that you're focusing on. They'll look at your HVAC, they'll look at your electrical systems, telecoms, water, anything that's considered a utility cost is fair game for this. Building automation systems, your temperature set points, all of it. And this can include EV chargers, or if you want to do solar generation or geothermal, that it's a very comprehensive investigation. This investment grade audit typically takes anywhere from 3 to 9 months based on how many buildings are involved or the scope of your project. And it's usually broken down into 3 major milestones: a 30%, a 60%, and a 90%. And then Charlie and I at the energy office, we usually take part in the process the whole way. A lot of times we'll see monthly meetings or bi-weekly meetings, just progress updates, and we're here to support you throughout that. So once you've gone through the investment grade audit, you've established the scope of work that you want to do, and you have a plan for the facility improvement measures you're going to make. Then you'll move to the EPC contract. And the EPC contract it breaks down the finances of the project. So we'll usually call this the capital stack, but it's sort of a breakdown of how you're going to pay for the improvement measures that will take place. So if there's some capital available that is meant to go to deferred maintenance, you can use that to, replace rooftop units and boilers and chillers. If you want a grant from the Inflation Reduction Act or a state grant or whatever it could be, that can go towards the project also. If there's utility incentives from your local utility, all of these things can be added together. And then if there's still, remaining funds that are required, then we have financial institutions you can work with to get a loan or finance the remaining portion. So once that's been established, you'll go to implementation, you'll do the construction, you'll do the work, and after the work is complete, then we have a post-installation report and these measurement and verification reports. And so the measurement and verification is when Charlie and I will review the report to see just how much you're saving in your utility costs. We'll make sure that the guarantee is being met, and make sure everything meets statute. So this slide breaks down the cost of the investment grade audit. So the investment grade audit is a fee that's structured based on your distance from the energy office and the total facility square footage of the project scope. You'll see that it ranges anywhere from 20 cents a square foot to 30 cents a square foot based on your distance and the scope, project scope. So this is a flat rate number for all of the energy service companies that are involved in the program. We have this set up so that you're making a decision on which energy service company you want to work with based on their approach to the project instead of the price and just kind of going with the lowest bidder. And you'll see there's a little smiley face there that says audit pricing for non-typical spaces can be negotiated. So this is when we're talking about street lighting or ball fields, parking lots, kind of, non-covered building space. Then you're not going to be held to this same pricing if you're talking about, we have projects where you're doing all of the water meters for a town. So the numbers would get a little ridiculous at that point, but this is the IGA pricing. And I will add at this point that this investment grade audit it's a fee that is only established when you work past the 60% stage of the investment grade audit. So if you're just doing the initial conversation and you're talking with an ESCO and it doesn't look like there's a viable cash flow, or maybe you're not comfortable with the numbers you're seeing financially, you can back out at the early stages without having to pay this fee. This is more of a way to protect the engineering companies if they do a lot of effort. When you get to the end of the investment grade audit, they're going to be talking to suppliers and contractors and establishing quotes and really putting effort in. So this fee both protects the clients and it protects the ESCOs based on what stage of the process you're in. So let's just talk about some of, an overview of all the benefits here. One of the main benefits of this program is that you're going to have this energy service company. They are basically going to play the role of a general contractor. So they're going to handle all the design engineering. They're going to manage the electricians and the HVAC techs and all the contractors that are involved. They're going to guide the whole installation and construction process, and then they're going to submit these M&V reports after the project is done. So you don't need to have resources in-house to do all of those tasks. It really gives you an opportunity to do a major project without overloading your staff as it is. It has to generate positive cash flow, not something that you'll see all the time with a typical design build project, and it's a lot easier on the financial books. Third bullet point here is guaranteed energy and maintenance cost savings. This is part of our role at the Energy Office to review those measurement verification reports and make sure that you get the savings you were promised. If those savings are not achieved, the energy service company has to write you a check to make up the difference, or you agree to have them come in and do additional work in order to achieve those savings. We promote using local workforce. So this, the energy service company that will be managing the project isn't just going to use the contractors that, they have predetermined agreements with. You can say, hey, we've had this company working on our campus for a long time. We like the work they do. We'd like to work with them, and you can influence those decisions. And finally, you have no cost support from Charlie and I. We have template RFP packages to help you with the ESCO selection process. We have template contract documents. We review all of the reports and contracts throughout the process, and we take part in all the progress meetings the entire time to really just support and answer questions and be a technical resource to you throughout the process. I think I'm going to highlight a couple grant programs that are available. The Charge Ahead Colorado and Fleet Zero programs are part of the transportation team. So if you're interested in adding EV chargers, or as you can see here, it also covers permitting and construction that's associated with it. So if you need to upsize a transformer or a panel board, if you need to, dig into the ground and put some conduits, that kind of thing, you can get some grant support for those. And then Fleet Zero is if you want to convert your fleet to all electrical vehicles, there's some financial assistance for that. And then we'll highlight the Department of Local Affairs. There are some grants associated with microgrids and some grid resiliency funds. The EIAF is an energy assistance fund. So if you're in a community that's transitioning from a coal plant that shut down, or some mineral related changes, there could be some funds that can help you with your projects. And finally, there's some water conservation and water related grants that could help you achieve your goals. All right, I believe that's it for me.
Thanks. Yep. Hi, everybody. My name is Craig Wright, and it's great to see some familiar faces. It's somewhat serendipitous, I think, that I find myself amongst this great cadre of people. I am putting my face up here alongside Nick's because I too am a graduate of the CU Boulder mechanical engineering and business schools. So very honored to be here and come full circle. We have somebody on attending remotely, Cindy Sauls, with whom I've worked as a building or a school district energy manager, and bring that to the table, as well as the church that my house of worship, Colorado Community Church, that I enlisted in this Renew America's Nonprofits program, and we're pursuing as an applicant the grant for those funds. And we know, as supporting in our volunteer support of Colorado Community Church, we know that our need is beyond that which the Renew America Nonprofits funding will support. And so what we offer as a Colorado Energy Office authorized or pre-qualified energy services company, or ESCO, is the means to, with their collaboration, implement larger projects that you or your facility may be in need of, that need to be financed through energy cost savings. So ATS is relatively new in the space of performance contracting, at least here in Colorado. I'm lucky to be an employee of the ATS Rocky Mountain office, with whom our managing partner, Matt Gompert, is here to join us and support me in regard to our coming to market and supporting our customer base. We've been in the industry for about 10 years, started primarily in Washington, in Seattle area of Washington, where we've implemented performance contracts throughout the state of Washington for many school districts, providing and municipalities for that matter, providing millions of dollars of energy savings. And it is based on that success that partly based on that success that we were admitted as a performance contract approved ESCO with the state of Colorado. And we hope to promote our ongoing development, our ongoing growth throughout the country in this particular market. We've already demonstrated success, having started our roots in 1986 in the Washington, Seattle area, branding ourselves as ATS, and then in 2008, opening our Rocky Mountain office. The offices that you see on this map, indicated by the stars, are our primary offices that were, as with the original in Seattle, control contractors that were acquired over a span of time. And what we found is this business model is that it uniquely suits us, and I think suits our community, in that we are able to provide that very intimate, local, and nimble support that does not come alongside a headquartered entity. So we all operate very independently and very autonomously. This is a sample segment of various customers that we have performed services for, primarily from a design, build, or controls contracting standpoint. This just shows the breadth of the market in which we participate. And hospitals is certainly one of them, municipalities. So we serve the MUSH market, as RN referred to, very extensively, and we do so in a very neighborly fashion. The one element of our business that is maybe more on a national scale is our critical facilities segment, which supports national customers and their data centers. And so they've been designated their own unique business unit since it is a national customer. But if you are working with ATS Rocky Mountain, you're getting the individualized attention that accompanies being in this market, which I am a proud native to Colorado and Denver area. And Matt Gompert would adjunctly probably consider himself as well. Well,
Born and raised Husker, so.
born and raised Husker. Okay. Well, we all consider ourselves community. So the E in EPC is energy. Energy is what ATS does. While our roots are in control systems and optimizing those and HVAC performance, we've developed an assortment of services that you see here that supplement those technical needs with the optimization, performance, and accountability needs that expectations that your operation may have, especially in regard to meeting energy performance standards, building portfolio standards, and otherwise demonstrating good environmental stewardship. So we've developed these other additional services that have been deemed essential by many of our customers. And among these services, the first three I'd like to point out on this list: monitoring-based commissioning, advanced fault detection, energy monitoring analytics, are three distinct services that we believe differentiate ATS in the ESCO market, in that, and which I will get to momentarily, but those specifically I will refer to in another slide. So energy performance contracting, how do we come to market since we launched it in 2017? It really very much is rooted in our design build expertise, in that we've got different business segments in which we are collaboratively involved. Myself at ATS Rocky Mountain would consider myself the polka dot, as our late great Top Gun and Tombstone actor Val Kilmer would say, "I'm your Huckleberry." Well, I'm your Huckleberry here. I'm your polka dot, and essentially that's the glue that it maintains the collaboration between the assessment and design segment. So if we're pursuing incentives such as Renew America's nonprofits, getting the Colorado Energy Office involved, and progressing on to construction, and then commissioning using these monitoring-based commissioning tools and analytics to get to project closeout and warranty management, where we're demonstrating the performance of your improvements through measurement and verification and analytics. So we have design build expertise in all areas of building efficiency, building envelope, mechanical operation, etc. Can prepare those documents and work with all entities, design engineers, through the conceptual, the design, and the permit phases of construction. And we have a pretty substantial building capacity because we are all considered under one umbrella of ATS, the ability to support those throughout the design construction process. So we consider ourselves a very nimble ESCO, in that what I was interested to learn yesterday was that the likely target for our energy services or energy performance contracts would likely be much less than the average, which I learned was about $5.7 million industry-wide from a national standpoint. So we are uniquely positioned to cater to the needs of smaller budgets, smaller organizations, and deliver a precise level of care and improvement, and look at a narrower set of high payback energy improvement measures, which will fund the performance contract. And on an ongoing basis, we'll support your efforts to meet building portfolio standards, such as Building Performance Colorado and Energize Denver. So the unique aspect of ATS's delivery of performance contract services is on the end product, and we can be certain that the end product will be a high-performing solution for you because we are working with the Colorado Energy Office, who has standardized the expected delivery of such services. So reducing the risk largely to you, the customer, in our ability to perform, which have been very successful in like I said, the design, build, market, plan and spec, etc. And what uniquely we bring to this market, energy performance contracting, is like I said, the analytics and robust diagnostics that come with the robust ATS analytics platform, which includes among them a utility cost model that gives you a sense of an ongoing basis of how much and where your costs for energy are derived. And we can give you a much greater detail of not only your building, but separate components within that building and their performance, their unique performance, which allows us to maximize the operation of your entire building. And we go steps further, deeper, which also presents through our analytics the ability to monitor not only your energy, but your EUI contributions, your compliance, maintain your energy levels below that which you had before, so we guarantee the savings, and then maximize it further through further analytics and diagnostics of individual pieces of equipment that come standard. This analytics platform comes standard with any EPC solution that we would support you in delivering. I'll invite Matt to offer any additional input.
No, yeah, I think that what you said, Craig, that we do offer a unique advantage here is that we've been doing analytics solely and specifically on our building automation systems through renovations, new builds, etc. And so we do have a pretty deep knowledge and expertise within not only the programming, but the displays and the specificity of how the data needs to be presented and tracked and monitored. So yeah, we're very good at that. You got to have the monitors, you got to have the meters in place to do so, to gain the information. But once that's there, we can track that very well.
Thanks, Matt. So I'll offer it up to attendees to ask any questions.
Great. We do have a few that have come in on the chat. Cindy, do you want to start off? I can reiterate, but you can go ahead and unmute and ask directly the few questions that you popped into the chat.
Sure. Thanks. I'm not 100% clear about how the equipment upgrades are paid for. Is this a loan? Is this a grant? Is this a combination? How do we pay for these upgrades?
So the upgrades are paid through a performance contract, primarily through the energy savings that are generated from the improved efficiency of the equipment or operation.
So do we go get a loan to pay for the equipment, and then as a part of the loan, we would be guaranteeing that here's a document that says we're going to save, so much per month that we'll be able to pay the loan back? I'm still unclear.
Yeah, it would be an arrangement through your bank or whatever financial institution to pay for the upfront capital improvements.
Okay.
And you would have in turn a document or a guarantee issued by ATS Rocky Mountain designating each year by year the energy savings that those improvements are generating. Now, through Renew America's nonprofits, those are grants, as are there available other incentives that can serve to buy down that initial capital investment.
Okay. So we borrow the money, but it's like a collateral kind of for the bank in recognition of future energy savings. They'll give us a $3 million loan or whatever. And what's the term?
You're going to spend more, with the understanding you're going to spend no more on your utilities in any given year than you would have in a status quo situation.
Okay. And I noticed that the company that we hired, we would hire the ESCO. Our church does have asbestos. We've done a survey, so we know where asbestos is. So as part of the construction, there could be some need to do asbestos abatement. So is that handled by the owner, or is that handled by the ESCO?
So if, for example, you have a very inefficient building and you stand to save 50% off your utilities, and the improvements themselves would pay for themselves in 2 years. Well, the energy performance contract arrangement through the state allows you to extend that payback an additional 12, 13 years.
Maximum 25 years.
Maximum is 25 years. Okay, thanks, Aaron.
Okay.
So
The equipment is.
as long as it consistent with the life of the equipment.
Got it.
So you are
That's a huge advantage, because you would pay much, much less per month back, right? If you can finance for 25 years.
More interest.
more interest.
More interest, less principal. Got it.
Yes, and what you can do with those incremental savings is bankroll that for the remainder of the performance period to fund additional improvement measures such as
Asbestos, yeah. Abatement. So it sounds like the owner then would be coordinating with the ESCO to, okay, if we need to go through this wall and there needs to be abatement here, then we would need to take care of that, independent of the ESCO.
No, yes, you could roll it all into the ESCO agreement
Good.
with the energy
Okay.
contract.
Okay, so they're used to working with abatement contractors and designers and, okay.
Yeah, and
Get a contract that will certify. Or,
Yeah.
dealing with asbestos, maybe the installation process. Very cool.
Okay, and then my last question was how the energy performance contracting is an advantage over design bid build, and I'm starting to see that now. So, okay. Are there any other advantages? Because I've started a process of a design bid build for my church, but that would be having to go to the bank. We're starting a capital campaign, so we'd have to go to the bank to figure out how to fund the shortfall, what we would actually need. So,
Yeah,
so the future energy savings guarantee as collateral is probably the big advantage.
yeah, that you have that ongoing savings, guaranteed energy reduction cost to fund that additional, not only the upfront design costs, but the ongoing, the upfront costs for abatement.
Mhm. So it's the guarantee versus if we did a traditional design bid build, we would not have that guarantee. We'd have that suggestion, but not the guarantee. Okay.
That is supported through the state program. The state
Okay.
providing applying their own scrutiny to the process and the legitimate savings claimed.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Cindy.
I'll also add that I think a major resource is also that the ESCO is managing all the work. If you are doing a design build project, you may need staff who are dedicated to tracking the progress and coordinating all the contracts with the individuals who are doing the work. And, if you have this energy service company there, they are going to do all of that heavy lifting for you. So,
Yep.
especially smaller entities, sometimes they don't have the technical resources to make educated choices, or just the hours available for the staff to really dig into what needs to be done.
Right. Any other advantages?
So it's a more comprehensive look, I think, and that you're kind of looking at it through an energy lens, but you are looking at your whole building resources there and not just focusing on the things you need. So you're getting a little more in-depth look at things on the front end.
We've had clients go through the program that initially reached out because they knew they needed to address some water meter issues. And then an ESCO comes in and says, hey, we noticed that your internet and telephone agreement is antiquated and we can save you $100,000 over 10 years by switching to this. It's a holistic look at all of your utilities. You may know that you need to replace your heating or cooling unit, but they can come in and say, oh, you're using fluorescent lights and we're going to replace these with LEDs, and that's going to save you even more money. So yeah, you're going to get savings that you may not have planned on by using this program.
Does the ESCO ever need to hire an architect or a structural engineer?
Maybe a structural engineer.
Mm-hmm.
Program does focus on retrofits to existing buildings, so it's not really meant for a new build. You're gonna look at an existing facility and modify it to be more efficient.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know that we see architects getting involved too often because they're usually working on a new building altogether.
Or a renovation, like if you had, finish or floor structural issues, if you had, we have steam leaks in a crawl space of a 115-year-old building. So we've got, floor issues, and that kind of thing, bathroom finishes and painting and but this is really primarily focused on utility, which makes sense.
That's where the savings comes in, but the ESCO can look at anything. For example, example I think of is like, we've had some schools get what they call COPS grants, basically a grant to put in security at a middle school or a high school. And while you have your general contractor there, they can help manage that job, and it's really no cost because the federal government gave them the COPS grant. And so they're just utilizing that grant money in order to put in a security system. But the ESCO can manage that as a general contractor. So you can have them in there doing other work that is not specifically energy related, but is part of kind of getting your whole building up to speed. It all depends on the cash flow and if you can put money towards it, because you do have the capital for those types of projects. There are things like windows and roofs that have 50 to 100-year paybacks. And so you won't necessarily, they won't, meet the guidance, but if you have enough lighting and enough other things that can help pay for that, and you do have some capital put towards it, you can get those things done at the same time.
So the ESCO, acts as a general contractor.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Cindy. We had another question from, I apologize if I say your name wrong, Wazi online. What happens if savings from, I assume, kind of the retrofits degrade after the 3 years of M&V? So what would be the best solution there for, making sure that you're continuing to pay back that loan if there's degradation past that extra period?
So the 3 years of measurement verification are the state required minimum if financing is used for a project. So you are able to do additional years of measurement verification. Now you have to balance that out, because typically there is a fee associated with that measurement verification. People are going to come in and evaluate your facilities. So we feel like 3 years is usually a pretty good sense to establish that the savings are being achieved. When it comes to equipment itself, there's usually a warranty that's associated with the equipment. If it's a controls related situation, we believe the ESCOs will, they'll take accountability for that. But you can do additional commissioning reports. You can have a longer term measurement and verification path.
That just makes sure that you're still able to pay back your loan with the energy savings, depending on the length of the loan.
Yeah.
But over time, people change the way they use buildings and things like that. So schedules change, and the way the contracts are written, EPC contracts are written, are based on, you will save this much in lighting energy if you use the lighting as we have talked to you about, or the schedules we use for the school. But if you all of a sudden they do a double shift at a school, it's, your schedules have changed. You're using more energy, so because you're using it in a different way. So sometimes, because buildings change use over time, you should still be saving money on the things that were installed. But if you're changing your use, then they can't guarantee savings on your change of use of how you're doing things.
Yeah, especially when it comes to things like heating and cooling, it's your behavior at the facility. If you're gonna cool the building to 68 degrees all summer, you may not see the savings that you would see if you left it at 72 or 74. So you can't control that. It is a collaborative effort at the end of the day to really achieve your energy savings.
I'll move on, but I just wanted to make sure, Wazzy, that your question was answered. Feel free to pop any additional questions in the chat, everybody, or unmute if you have more questions. And we can move to the last one that came in on chat here, and then yeah, feel free to unmute after this to ask any additional. Todd Allen is asking, is there a minimum square footage or annual utility cost threshold, i.e. project size, for entering into an EPC? So what's kind of the range of size, scope, that kind of thing?
So we don't have a defined minimum in the program language. What we see historically is that the ESCOs or energy service companies, there's a minimum around $500,000 for total project cost. And I think this is really so that it's a profitable endeavor for the engineering firms. But this is not defined. So I think this is one of the things that ATS was saying, that they have a nimble approach, and then they're able to have a more localized, community-based relationship with different entities. You know, we don't see as much involvement from the nonprofit space as we do from municipalities or school districts and some of these things. And I think that may be partially because of the overall size and scope. But we acknowledge that this is a gap in our program. This is something we're trying to work on. When we look at some of the rural, remote towns and school districts, they just everything's a fraction of the budget that you would see in a bigger city. So we're seeing some more efforts of you know, multiple small towns grouping together to do a single large project. Are some other creative approaches like that. But we're not going to stop a project from happening because it's below a certain dollar value.
So I know Todd works very closely with the non-state conference, so a conference of churches in the area.
Mm-hmm.
So is that one where that conference could enter into a contract representing kind of multiple buildings that are owned and operated within that conference to kind of do
That'd be a great option.
across that portfolio?
It gets a little bit interesting in these situations because, you know, if you have 5 different organizations that are collaborating, now you're talking about 5 different CFOs, and 5 different, you know,
Approving committees.
and it becomes interesting when you need that many people to come to the same conclusion.
Right.
But, you know, we've seen it happen. I think the one project in particular is that Northwest Solar. And that was what, like 8 different entities. It was like airports, and
City of
solar
Steamboat,
fields.
Craig, I think, was in there, and a couple of others that all put solar on, so they just, Yapa Valley. So there are things, and there's another example of an extra thing that was added on. We're currently doing a EPC contract with the History Colorado, and of course, you're dealing with some very old buildings there, like some of your churches you may have, but the ESCO is going to have to do an Adobe, or the History Colorado wanted some Adobe repair, and the ESCO is kind of excited because they're like, we've never done Adobe, and that's going to be a great story to tell, that we're going to have to hire an Adobe contractor from somewhere, we're not quite sure where, and so fix this Adobe fort. I don't know if it's Bent's fort or which one, but it's, you know, to fix this Adobe at this fort. So they do get excited about something, like if you need your bell fixed or something, that'd be a great story for them to tell, or whatever. It's like, we've had this bell up here, but it hadn't worked in 10 years.
Cool. Todd has another question here. If there's an event like COVID, or other situation that will impact your savings, do you renegotiate the contract, or is this, you know, kind of what happens when those kinds of events occur, or, you know, major change to the use of the building? How does that work?
Okay. Well, I think the one thing that's interesting in this case is, these savings are based on utility costs, right? So if you have a major change to how your facility is operating, I'm not sure exactly how that would play out.
Yeah, so in the energy performance contract that you sign, they're guaranteeing savings at the way it operates, or the way that they've contractually set it up for you to operate. So if there's a massive change like that, like COVID, I don't think there's anything in the contract that would say you could come back and renegotiate how the payback would be or anything. If we're in an office building, we're to lose 20 tenants, that's kind of up to the office building to get those tenants back, but even that, but yeah, so I mean, we had schools closed down, but they still had to keep those buildings operating. So they're still an energy bill, and I think there was even some studies done that they were thinking they were gonna save, 50 or 70% of the utility bills from when the school shut down, and I think they only saved like 20%. Was the one story I read a few years ago. So it's not as big a savings as you think when some things shut down to that effect. Of course, hospital use is way up, but that's a different story. Yeah, so.
I think the way to think about it here is like your facility should have some underlying goal to improve its existing condition. You're going to use more efficient heating and cooling systems. You're going to have a smarter building automation system that's going to, with ATS, it'll provide analytics and monitoring. These are goals that you want to achieve. So this EPC program is providing a financial opportunity to achieve those goals by using utility cost savings instead of simply having a pile of cash laying around or taking a traditional loan from a bank. So you kind of already want to do these things. You may have a heating and cooling system or antiquated lighting or whatever it is. So, this guarantee is a really nice addition to the program. But if you think about it based on, I'm going to do this anyways, I need to do this, our system isn't functioning or it's really inefficient, I think it's easier to process.
Thank you. Todd, let us know if that answered your question there. We have one more that's come in from Arthur. So this will be for CEO here. How much can the energy office supply as far as grants for these projects? So, besides the two that you mentioned, there's the EV fleet and then the EV charger, are there other Colorado Energy Office grants available?
So, yeah, sure. So I'll add a couple things to this point. So this is another one of the benefits that the ESCOs provide. Most of the ESCOs that are in the program have teams that are dedicated to finding grants, not just with the Energy Office, but with any state department, utility incentives, federal grants, anything that applies to your sector. It's fair game. And so right now, it's an interesting landscape. Federal funding is uncertain, but in the last few years, there was a public building electrification grant that was dedicated to replacing, natural gas burning boilers and heating cooling systems with electrical systems. There was the high efficiency electrical heating and appliances grant, which is a similar scope but meant for multi-building residential. There was the geothermal energy grant, which has gone through 3 rounds, and that grant is meant for single structure uh, heating and cooling systems, thermal energy networks for multiple buildings, and geothermal energy generation. So these grants, they fluctuate, they come and go, they go through rounds. We just highlighted a couple here because we know they're open and active.
Yeah. And I just wanted to note really quick, the Reno America's Nonprofits program is fully focused on like building energy retrofits. So we cannot help with renewable energy related retrofits, but going through a program like this, you could incorporate both into the same project. It's just that the RAM program would help fund the building side, and the financing could help help on the energy generation side. So I just wanted to make that distinction because the Department of Energy requirements are strictly that it's building energy retrofits, no renewable generation.
And we see that all the time where, if you win a grant, you use those funds for the purpose of the grant.
Mhm.
It's usually not just a check that goes straight in your bank account. It has to be, you have to submit invoices and say like, look, we're using these funds to do what this grant is meant to do.
Great. Cindy has one more. It seems like the client needs to trust the ESCO for all the design decisions, any competitive bidding. So what does that look like when you're kind of as a client working with an ESCO? How much is the client involved in those decisions, or is it really kind of their hands off? The ESCO's dealing with all those little details on getting the project done. Maybe Craig.
I can tackle that at first. So that is a big part of the role that Charlie and I play.
Mhm.
We're both engineers. We have a lot of experience cumulatively, and we're essentially a third party. We are a state third party that is going to make sure that all the reports and design approaches of these ESCOs are reasonable. And we're here to protect you, to work with you as a client, and we review every contract, the entire audit. All of the pricing is open book, so there's pre-established rates of design costs, construction costs, profit margins. All of that is open and available for all of the ESCOs in the program. So I think it's you should be involved, or somebody from the client side should be involved. In my experience, there's meetings, once or twice a month throughout the entire audit process where, your input is vital because you ultimately decide what you want to achieve. And
Yes.
the Colorado Energy Office will play the role of helping be a technical resource throughout that entire cycle.
Right. Okay. And that's helpful. It's just understanding, budget, criteria, value engineering ideas, so I guess that's a process that you would go through with you guys and the ESCO, similar to like a CMGC, you hire a CMGC, right? And then they bid the subcontracts.
So what happens at the energy performance contract stage is they come to you with a maximum guaranteed price.
Right.
And because they're guaranteeing savings on utility savings, you don't see much VE in this world, much value engineering in this world, because what normally happens with value engineering is they're going to give you a cheaper product that probably doesn't save as much, right? They're going to substitute the SEER 20 with a SEER 14 because it meets the specs that the architect came up with in the first place. But you don't see a whole lot of value engineering in this process, primarily because of the energy performance savings guarantees. So
But I mean, you could have something like, a rental, a piece of equipment versus a less expensive piece of equipment. So that would be, a decision. I guess I'm used to being party to the design decisions, but I'm far from an expert, in mechanical and electrical systems. But
I
it
think
just,
we-
it seems like, you would need, in a typical design bid build, you're going through these different phases of design and you're able to give input and you're able to see what that input it does, or, and the design is modified through each of those design stages, right, to meet the budget. So I don't know if I hired and, I wouldn't have any idea I can't give you a budget. You're going to give me the budget, right? You're going to tell, if you want to save energy, this is what you need to do. And there's not a lot of option. Is that what you're saying?
No, you have options. So in that investment grade audit
Yeah.
process, um, you'll have whatever, 6 months, 9 months, 3 months, based on your timeline, but it'll be ongoing discussion. And typically what happens is the ESCO will come to you and say, we can do facility improvement measures A, B, and C. You'll have to finance
Okay.
15 years, or we can do A and B, and you guys put in $200,000 and you finance it for 10 years. They're going to come to you with a variety of approaches, and then you will get to provide your input on which one you're happy with, which one your financial team is happy with, which one your
Right.
facility manager is happy with. It's collaborative throughout the entire process.
Okay. That helps a lot. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, because you'll have clients that say like, hey, we really want to put a bunch of solar panels in our parking lot. We think it'll look great. It'll be good optics, and the ESCO will come in and say, we could do that. You're gonna have to finance it for 22 years. You know,
Yeah.
or whatever. Like it's all based
Right.
on what you want to do. If you want to if you're gung ho about geothermal energy, they may come in and say, we can do that, but we're gonna have to rip up a parking lot and drill a bunch of wells here, and like but it is a conversation until the late stages of the audit where you really define what you're gonna do.
and if
And
you
when
have,
the ESCO gives you a GMP, a guaranteed maximum cost, right?
right,
And then let's say the project comes in under, where does the savings go?
It goes to you.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah. So the way the savings work is that they're also year by year. So if you save, you know, $10,000 more than the guarantee on year one, that is your money, and they have
Okay.
that guarantee again on year two. They're not going to pull money from a previous year or anything like that. That's all defined in statute. So any excess savings go straight to you.
Okay. Well, and I guess it does make sense to get it might even make sense to get this audit done, first, and kind of compare it against an engineering scope of work too, from the traditional design bid build. So, to see, what their recommendations would be. It's because it's kind of like a schematic design.
Yeah, you could do that. The investment grade audit is required in this process, so you can't really use a separate entity's audit.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
can use it informationally, but this audit is a little bit different because it also includes establishing pricing for contractors and materials, and honestly, the ESCO doesn't they want to trust their own work and they want to do the audit
Sure.
themselves typically. So,
I
well,
get it. So, yeah, you've got a limited group of people who can do this because they're the people that are qualified.
mm,
Okay. Versus a design team. Okay. Okay.
the ESCO is the auditor, they're the design team, they're the general contractor, they're a one-stop shop.
Okay. Thank you.
I'll add in here, just because I was thinking about it. If you want to contact us at the energy office, we can send you other communities that have used the program. If you want to talk to a school district superintendent, if you want to talk to a town manager, or any other municipality or hospital or clients that have gone through this process to talk to somebody and get their firsthand experience, we're happy to share that information with you.
Okay, thank you.
Alrighty, I'm not seeing any other questions in chat. So give everyone a second, see if there are any more questions or comments. And then, if not, we can stop here. But the contact information for Aaron, Charlie, Craig, and myself are included in this calendar invite. You can copy, screenshot this here. These slides will be available on our website. But yeah, feel free to reach out to all of us if you are interested in pursuing this. As part of a RAN scope, or just kind of as some other project. And yeah, this recording will try to get posted eventually. The CU IT team is not letting us get a YouTube channel yet, but we're trying to convince them that's okay. But the slides will be on the website, and hopefully soon we'll have a YouTube channel where these recordings will be posted. So if you know other people that are applying to the RAN program and weren't able to make it, they should be able to access that here shortly. Thank you very much for being here, and feel free to reach out with questions. So have a good day, everybody.
Thank you for attending, everybody.